Welcome. Today we are initiating ourselves about Transcendental Universe. Parme Vyoman lively within riches of the Aksharas. Rigved Mandal 1, Sukta 164, riches 1 to 52 are going to be our source base upon which we will be initiating ourselves for exposure to the Transcendental Universe. Sheet 1 as such is the opening sheet. It gives the caption Transcendental Universe and cites Sukta 164, the Richa 39. And it is this Richa which is bringing us specifically face to face with the concept of Parme Vyoman, Transcendental Universe, lively within Richo Akshare, between the letters of the Richas, mantras of the Samhitas. This Transcendental Universe is presided by Lord Shiva, Transcendental Lord, five-head Lord, with triple eyes in each of the five heads. Transcendental Universe is lively within the letters of the mantras of the Vedas, and this universe is presided by the Transcendental Lord. So sheet 2 is a sheet which is depicting the idol of Lord Shiva along with Goddess Parvati, and this is our going to be the Transcendental Universe. Transcendental Universe with which we want to expose to ourselves, for which we want to initiate ourselves, whose bliss we want to imbibe, is the universe which is presided by the Transcendental Lord, a five-head Lord. Therefore, this Transcendental Universe ultimately becomes a five-space domain. A real five-space is the space values which are lively within the letters of the mantras of the Samhitas, Vedas. As such, let us make a specific note that we are exposing ourselves to the Transcendental Universe, which is lively within the Richas, the mantras of the Samhitas of the Vedas. So Vedas mantras, Vedas Richas are bringing us face to face with the Transcendental Universe. Five space, real five space, is lively within the letters of the mantras of the Vedas. So Vedic mantras are the values of the transcendental word. It is the mathematics, science and technology of five space which is the ultimate base of the values of the Vedic Richas. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be initiated for the Transcendental Universe lively within the mantras of the Vedas shall sit comfortably and dive deep within the cavity of their own heart and go for the entitlement of the transcendental grace, the transcendental grace of the Transcendental Lord, so that our mental state of manifested creations melts and we transit and transform and transcend to the transcendental space. Once we are initiating ourselves for dissolution of the mental state of the creative fourfold manifestation layers of the spatial order of four space, and once we are urging for to be parallel to the transcendental format, then we shall follow the path of Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha, the son of the Transcendental Lord. Lord Ganesha's path is path of the ganas. These ganas, these groups, these entities universe is being available to us. So the transcendental values, the impulses of the transcendental consciousness as the Bindu Sarovar, as the points or reservoirs fulfilled with the impulses of consciousness. So the field of impulses of consciousness becomes the field of the point reservoirs, structured points structured with the impulses of the consciousness. So the points fulfilled with the structures of consciousness are to be carried as intelligence bits, and these groups of intelligence bits of the consciousness formats are being made groups. These groups of entities, these ganas, are to be carried forward for the eternity reach. Today we are initiating ourselves for the transcendental universe as it is lively within the riches of the aksharas. This Param Vinyoman, the transcendental universe, is presided by Lord Shiva, five-head Lord with triple eyes equipped in each of the five heads. The consciousness, Chetana, as discrete Bindu Sarovars, discrete points fulfilled with the consciousness bits, are to be carried as intelligence bits. For it, we have to go to the shelter of Lord Ganesha. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel to the Parame Vinyoban, transcendental universe, living within the riches of the aksharas, letters of the mantras, shall follow the Ganesha path, the Ganas path, the way the consciousness bits are fulfilled and are to be worked out as points by the intelligence coordination along the timeline. It is this coordination which will take us to Parampadam Pitram Dvadasakritam Deve. This is the organization. It is going to be the format, and it will see ultimately is going to be the format of hypercube of 5. We will be seeing that the sadhakas fulfilled the intensity of urge to be face to face with the transcendental universe, the Param Vinyoman, within the letters of the riches, have to go to the shelter of the transcendental Lord, and from here we have to follow the Ganesha path, and this Ganesha path will take us to the format of a position of the 5 space as a boundary, of 6 space with 7 space as origin, and transcendental boundary being of 12 components. It is this mathematics of a raised to power 6 is to 12 b raised to power 5, a domain boundary ratio of hypercube 6 with 5 space play the role of a boundary, and there are as many as 12 components of this transcendental boundary, and origin is a 7 space. This 7 space is having 5 space in the role of a boundary. Now how this 5 space in the role of and dimension of a 7 space as origin of 6 space, which will be taking us to the Rishi, means we have to transcend within 6 space. This transcendence within 6 space would mean that we will start transcending from the transcendental boundary. 5 space is playing the role of a boundary. Now from here, when we will dive and glimpse the origin, so from 6 space we'll go to 4 space as dimension, to 2 space as dimension, and as a next step we'll reach at 0, that is we will reach at the origin. It is here where is a seat of a seventh space playing the role of an origin. We know that seventh space is having 5 space in the role of an dimension. Therefore, it is this fifth stage which will be taking us to the deep darkness. All the light of the sun will reach its end domain point. From where there would be the reach of a dirghatama auchathe. It is this reach which is going to be the reach of Sukta 164, which we are going to have an initiation richa. Therefore, the Dirgatama Auchathe as a rishi will take us to 33 plus 19 is equal to 52. This TCV value of Dirgatam Tama Auchathe will bring us face to face with that this Sukta 164 is having 52 richas. So this Sukta, which is of 52 richas, is going to be glimpsed by the Dirgatama Auchathe, this rishi. Now this value 52 we know is equal to 4 into 13, and we know 13 are the geometries of 6 space. So the 6 space is having 13 geometries range. Hypercube 6 is having 13 versions, and as 4 space is playing the role of dimension of a 6 space, therefore all the 13 versions of 6 space will be having 4 space in the role of a dimension, and 13 into 4 makes it 52. As such, Dirghamtama Auchathe Rishi is diving within the 6 space domain to reach at the dimensional order of the origin of a 6 space. See how deep dive is of the rishi, and what is the end reach point of this diving within 6 space domain. It is this with which we have to be face to face with, and it is this in terms of which we have to enrich our insight, enlightenment about the 6 space domain. Therefore, rishi of a TC value 12 as such will make it rishi Dirghatama Auchathe as of value 64. We know value 64 means 4 space playing the role of dimension of a 6 space. So this value sequentially will be taking us to 53, then it is going to be 42, it is going to be 31, then it is going to be 20, then 9, minus 2, minus 13, and minus 24, minus 35, and minus 64. It is this 11 steps long reach which is the ultimate chase steps of Dirghamtama Auchathe Rishi. This reach at 5 space in the role of dimension of a 7 space as origin of 6 space enveloped within the transcendental boundary of 5 components is the enlightenment. We have to be face to face with this format feature of our existence phenomenon within this solar universe with 6 space as a format for our solar universe as well as for the existence phenomenon. Therefore, we have to then be face to face with this 6 space Lord Vishnu, the way the Lord Vishnu is organizing, coordinating, sustaining this universe. So Lord Vishnu is 6 space, is having 4 space Lord Brahma in the role of a dimension, emanating from the navel, the origin of the sixth space, and at the feet of the Lord Vishnu is the goddess, and the goddess Lakshmi is in the role of a five space as a transcendental boundary, as well as it is going to have a seat of a seventh space is going to be a Saptanag, Saptarishi. This is going to be the origin as taking to the origin of the origin is a five space playing the role of a dimension. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be face to face with the transcendental universe and having an urge to be parallel to the values, features and format of the transcendental universe presided by the transcendental Lord has to follow the Ganesha's path, and we will be reaching at the phase and stage of glimpsing the solar universe as it is sustaining itself as a self-referral setup. Therefore, it is this self-referral setup to which the transcendental universe takes to is going to be the ultimate insight of this transcendental universe. For it, we have to go to the shelter of a Sakal Rigved Samhita. We know that there are four Vedas, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharved, and Rigved has 21 branches, Yajurved has 101 branches, Samved has 1000 branches, and Atharved has 9 and 15 branches. Further, we know that parallel to Vedas are the Upavedas, and Ayurveda Upaved is of Rigved, Dhanur Upaved is of Yajurved, Gandharva Upaved is of Samved, and Sthapatya Upaved is of the Atharved. Then further we know each branch is having a distinct Sanhita, Brahmana, Aranak and Upanishad. These are the formulations. Each formulation has its TCV value. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel to the format, features and values of the transcendental universe lively within the riches of the aksharas have to be parallel to the organization of the Sakal Rigved Samhita itself. It is one of the 1031 branches, and it is the first branch of a Rigved. Perhaps it is the only Vedic branch, Rigved branch, which has reached us intact from its first letter to the last letter. As such, we have to begin for this enlightenment of the transcendental universe with the Sakal Rigved Samhita. Sakal Rigved Samhita is having 10 mandals, and there are 8 astaks, 64 chapters, 85 anvaks, 10,024 suktas, 2,028 vargas. There are 10,552 richas, 4,32,000 are the aksharas. Then each of the richa is having a distinct rishi, devta, chandas and swara. We are beginning with the first mandal, and first mandal is taking us to the 164th Sukta. We are beginning with Sukta 164 of 52 Richas of Mandal 1 of Sakal Rigved Sahita. For it, we are today taking up this Richa. This is the Richa, and this Richa is being focused attention, and this focused attention of this Richa will take us to the setup of hypercube 6 and all the features that 5 space to play the role of a boundary, as well as of the dimension of the 7 space as an origin of 6 space enveloped within a transcendental boundary of 12 components. It is the first reading. It is the first layer meaning of this richa. From this we will start to go inside to have this Ditya Vritti, Tritya Vritti, Chaturtha Vritti and up till Pancham Vritti. We will be diving deep within each and every richa, starting with this richa itself, which is having at a first fold a format of a hypercube 6. It is this format of a hypercube 6 which gives a dual role for 5 space, firstly as in the role of a boundary and secondly in the role of a dimension of a 7 space. Further, 5, 6, 7 are playing distinct roles of 5 space as boundary, 6 space as domain and 7 space as origin. Further, the 5 space is playing a second role as a transcendental boundary being of 12 cantonades. These are the quadruple features which at a first Prathama Vritti will lead us to the format of hypercube 6, and it is this mathematics which is to be helping us, and it is this mathematics which is to be chased by us. Those who have to initiate themselves from the very beginning shall begin with the Devanagari alphabet format. Devanagari alphabet format is having vowels, consonants, and these are 42 in number. These 42 letters of Devanagari alphabet are coordinated by the Maheshwara Sutras. Therefore, we have to begin with the Devanagari alphabet, and then at the next step we have to reach the Maheshwara Sutras. And once we will be reaching at the Maheshwara Sutras, then we will be reaching at the Vedangas, starting with the Shiksha and then going to the Vyakaran, and continuously, ultimately, we will go to the Kalp, where we will be having the 14 Manvantras, 14 Ratnas, 14 Bhuvans. In fact, we will be reaching at the 7 space, hypercube 7. Therefore, we have to reach from hypercube 6 to hypercube 7. Then we will be completing our insight of the Transcendental Universe. The chase of the Transcendental Universe, in a way, thou begins with 5 space, but is sequentially taking us from the hypercube 6 format to hypercube 7 format. For it, in terms of the Transcendental family, we can have our initiation by going to the shelter of Lord Ganesha, the Son, the Transcendental Son of the Transcendental Lord and the Transcendental Goddess. From this, we have to go with the inner transition and transformation, which will be taking us to the Transcendental family with Lord Skanda as the Transcendental Son. Therefore, within the Transcendental family, within the Transcendental domain, our reach is going to be from the Lord Ganesha to the Lord Skanda. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the Transcendental Universe shall initiate themselves to go parallel to the Lord Ganesha's path and reach up till the Lord Skanda's path, and then start with Lord Skanda's path and reach back at Lord Ganesha's path. It is this transcendental cycling, unfolding process which is to be followed to be parallel to the Transcendental Universe. Therefore, while we will be going from Ganesha's path to Skanda's path and back from Skanda's path to the Ganesha's path, then in between we will be going through the Lord Creators. Lord Creator, Lord Brahma, a four-head Lord, is having 5 space in the role of an origin. Lord Brahma meditates within cavity of one's own heart and gets entitled for a transcendental grace, as a result of which Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas, and as a result the 5 space in the role of origin transits and transforms into 5 space as a domain enveloped within a creative boundary of a 10 component. Therefore, this inner transition, starting with the Lord Ganesha's path and reaching up till the Lord Skanda's path, in fact is going to be the transition phenomenon of the format of hypercube 4 to hypercube 5. Therefore, we have to have a transition, transformation and a transcendence from the format of hypercube 4 to reach at the format of a hypercube 5. Once we will be at a hypercube 5, then we know that 5 space is having 3 space in the role of a dimension. It will be making a Ganesha's path. But this 5 space in fact is also having 6 space in the role of an origin. So 6 space in the role of an origin will take us to Lord Skanda's path. But 5 space as a 3-dimensional frame will take us to Lord Ganesha's path. Therefore, from Lord Ganesha's path to the Skanda's path would mean that we have to reach from 3 space in the role of a dimension to 6 space to the role of an origin. And we know that when we have a split for a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions, then it is actually taking us to a split, and this split is going to be of the script form of 3 and a 6. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the Vedic path of the range of Lord Ganesha's path to Lord Skanda's path, in fact have to be at the split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames. So the orientation outward as it is on the western side is going to take us Lord Ganesha's path, and following it we will reach the sun. The value 6, the other 3-dimensional frame with orientations towards the west east, is going to have a reach for us for the 4 space inwards. It is this reach that we know that ultimately the split of a 3-dimensional frame as it is having a release of a 4 space at a origin. It is this release of the 4 space as a origin means bring us face to face with hypercube 4, and further we know that when the 4 space itself will split, it will lead us to its origin, which would be a 5 space itself, and step ahead it will lead us to 6 space. So it is this inner transition and transformation, and it is this reversal, it is both orientations way of reaching from Lord Ganesha's path to Lord Skanda's path, and from Lord Skanda's path to Lord Ganesha's path, that we in fact will be covering the Transcendental Universe. This Transcendental Universe is having within itself as well as outside itself a 6 space. Now it is this 6 space which is of a creative dimensional frame. Therefore, we have to be parallel to the creative dimensional order, which is having a origin of our 3-dimensional frame. So 4 space is playing the role of an origin of a 3 space. We have to reach from 3 space to 4 space. For it, we have to split a 3-dimensional frame. The split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions and release of a 4 space as an origin is going to be the initiation point. With this initiation point of a release of 4 space and an origin of a 3 space and its consequential split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames. Now this pair of 3-dimensional frames are making a range of a Ganesha's path to the Skanda's path. In between there is a release of a 4 space. It is a creator space release. This creator space release is going to take us to a transcendental phenomenon that the Lord Brahma, overlord of our real 4 space, meditates within cavity of his own heart and gets entitled for the transcendental grace, and as a result Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. This amounts to a transition and transformation from format of hypercube 4 to a format of hypercube 5. Now hypercube 5 we know is presided by Lord Shiva, and Lord Ganesha and Lord Skanda are the two sons of the Transcendental Lord. This Transcendental family is giving us a complete insight and enlightenment of the Transcendental Universe. Sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the Transcendental Universe, perme human, lively within the letters, riches of the mantras, Vyoman, Richo Akshare. Transcendental Universe lively within the letters of the mantras, riches of the Vedas is to be imbibed. One is to become entitled for providing consciousness base for our intelligence. We have to melt the mental state, firstly of a universal three-space linear order setup, and to have a reach at the Creator's spatial order space. From there, again, we have to transit, transform, and transcend to a solid order transcendental domain. It is this reach to the transcendental domain which again will be confronting us with three space in the role of a dimension. Now that three space in the role of a dimension would confront us with the situation how the three-dimensional frame itself is synthesized. It is structured synthetic setup of a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions. So moment this three-dimensional frame splits into its pair of constituents, a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions, then they will create a perme human. It is this perme human which on the one hand will be giving us a Lord Ganesha's path, and on the other hand it will giving us Lord Skanda's path. In between there would be a creative field. This creative field is having a transcendental origin. This transcendental origin bestows a transcendental grace. In terms of it, the Creator's space, manifestation space itself as well transits, transforms and transcends into a transcendental space. It becomes a transcendental universe. It is this transcendental universe which is making Bindu Sarovar, structured points, points fulfilled with the structures of the transcendental domain. The consciousness impulses as bubbles, as discrete as Bindu Sarovars, are ultimately making us our surface, our spatial order. And it is this spatial order of the Bindu Sarovars, structured points, which will be leading us to the synthetic setup for the dimensional synthesis. So it is this dimensional synthesis which is to be reached. In terms of it, we will be reaching at the devatas of each and every riches, and this is to be worked out in terms of the mathematics. And it is this mathematics which is going to be of Radha and Krishna. So it would be a blissful thing that sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge will be reaching at the mathematics of Ganita Sutras with going to be a Rik and Kri. So we have to go in the opposite direction. So we have to start with the 6. Here we'll be reaching at Radha, and it is of value 14. We know this is a Jeev and it is a Sharir. It is this way that these Ganita Sutras and Upsutras will unfold. Further, it is going to be a reach of a Ram to a Sita. We know it is of TC value 13 and it is TC value 15. Therefore, it is going to be the lively gaps of range 1 to 16. Therefore, if we go within the lively range, we will be reaching Rama and Sita. If we are at the outer space, then we are at the Krishna and Radha. This unification is happening within a Vishnu Lok. It is this Vishnu Lok, a sixth space, a creator's dimensional order setup, with whose journey we will be having Divya Ganga Prabha through the components of the Om formulation, and we will have ultimately reach at the transcendental reach. It is this transcendental base. It is going to be the transcendental universe. How we reach at the transcendental universe? By having a churning at the arm of the sun. So churning at the arm of the sun gives us a Divya Ganga flow which fulfills our transcendental universe. How our transcendental universe, the Sanatana base, is fulfilled is going to be the chase exercise of the sadhakas. With the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the Vedic systems of glimpsing and imbibing of the transcendental universe, have to start churning at the arm of the sun. And by having a churning at arm of the sun means churning at the origin of a sixth space. Initially we have seen that Lord Brahma, creator of the Supreme, has a diving within the cavity of his own heart to have a transcendental churning, and in terms thereof he acquires a transcendental grace, and as a result thereof the Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. The further churning at the origin of a five space will be taking us to the transcendental universe, and still further churning will be ultimately making us and taking us to the second fold, the inner fold, the minute fold of the transcendental universe. Therefore, this way we have to reach the transcendental universe as well as in the outer fold as well as its inner fold. It is this reach which is the reach of the Vedas. It is this reach which is the reach of the Vedic riches. It is this reach which is to be attained by us. And it is for this reach that we are initiating ourselves. It is this initiation in terms of which in the next session we will be sequentially following for our enlightenment. You all are welcome in the evening session to follow this transcendental path. To have intensity of this initiation, one is to meditate 5 times a day or as many number of times a day one can, and with it one will be entitled for the transcendental grace, and the transcendental grace itself will carry us further and further. Thank you very much.